Hello, a very warm welcome to Middle East Matters. I'm Sanam Shantier. Coming up on this week's show, an $88 billion price tag to reconstruct Iraq after a 3-year war on the Islamic State group. That covers 157 projects across multiple sectors, including transport, energy and agriculture. A first for Saudi Arabia. A senior cleric has declared no need for women to wear loose-fitting abaya robes in public. Up until now, the garment has been a legal requirement. Also coming up, from a nomadic journey to sleeping rough in a park to a Michelin-starred restaurant, Lebanese chef Geamm joins us in the studio to talk about his voyage to culinary stardom. Thanks for joining us. We start with Kuwait, which is holding a donor conference aimed at raising funds for the reconstruction of Iraq following the onslaught of the Islamic State group. Authorities estimate the nation, which was only invaded 15 years ago, needs some $88 billion. Clément Bonneron has the story.
A country free of jihadists, but a country in shambles. The Islamic State group controlled a third of Iraq for 3 years. It's left behind a trail of death and destruction. Even before the self-proclaimed caliphate, Iraq was already reeling from decades of war. It fought Iran for most of the 1980s, faced a decade of sanctions after invading Kuwait in 1990, and was occupied by the US from 2003 to 2011. Add to that falling oil prices and the millions spent on anti-terrorism efforts. Iraq's economy is in tatters. Donors and investors have gathered in Kuwait to help finance Iraq's reconstruction.
We've started restoring basic services including water and electricity, building schools. But what we have accomplished is less than 1% of what Iraq needs.
At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said the cost of rebuilding the country's infrastructure could be as high as $100 billion. The planning minister, meanwhile, says Iraq needs $88.2 billion. Authorities are seeking investment for some 157 projects, including 2 rail lines, one from Baghdad to Basra in the south and one from Baghdad to Mosul in the north. Other projects include expanding Baghdad's metro system and rebuilding the airport in Mosul. Some 2,000 companies have registered to attend this week's conference, along with officials from 75 countries, including France, the US, Turkey, Iran and Saudi Arabia.
The aim is to bring in as many investors as possible. That is, not only official donors, but also private partners. It means that the Iraqi government is not dependent on just one source of income, but on as many as possible.
The war against the IS group has displaced hundreds of thousands of families in Iraq. Mosul was liberated 8 months ago, but half of it still looks more like a battlefield than a living city.
We hope that West Mosul will be reconstructed as quickly as possible, and that it will be a serious step, not just words and promises like before.
To reassure donors, Baghdad has said it is determined to tackle red tape and corruption. Iraq is viewed by investors as the 10th most corrupt country in the world, according to Transparency International.
Women in Saudi Arabia still have a long way to go in order to be completely free, but every little step counts. First, the Conservative Kingdom agreed to let women drive. Then, football stadiums started to welcome them. Now, one senior cleric is calling for a more relaxed dress code for Saudi women.
Women attending a public concert in Saudi Arabia, a scene unimaginable only a few months ago. Even more surprising, some of them took off their headscarves, allowing their hair to hang loose.
It's the first time I've been to a concert. It's such a great experience.
We wish we could have done these things sooner, going to parties, having fun. All these changes and these reforms, they're really good for our country.
In this concert venue, men and women are separated, as required by law. But the fact that women are able to attend is a revolution in the ultra-conservative kingdom, and a symbol of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's attempt to reform his country. In another sign of modernization, last week, an influential Saudi cleric said women should not be forced to wear the abaya, a long, loose-fitting robe Saudi women are required to wear in public. Just 2 years ago, a woman was jailed for taking it off.
More than 90% of pious women in the Muslim world do not wear abayas, so we should not force people to wear abayas.
Last September, Saudi Arabia's King Salman issued a decree allowing women to drive for the first time. Authorities also have plans to relax the kingdom's strict guardianship rules, allowing women to get a job without a man's permission. However, Saudi women will still need male approval to apply for passports, travel abroad, and open a bank account.
It's true that for the time being she doesn't have my permission to travel, but she has no intention of going abroad anyway. If she wanted to, I would probably allow her.
Saudi women also face segregation at home. Under Saudi law, they are not allowed to mingle with unrelated men.
Now to an extraordinary rags to riches tale, one that could make your eyes tear up and actually make your mouths water. Alain Geamm arrived in Paris 2 decades ago, but in the beginning he found himself sleeping rough in the streets of the capital, unable to speak any French. But now, without any formal training, the Lebanese chef has managed to bag himself a very much sought-after Michelin star. And he joins me in the studio. Alain, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello.
It seems that cooking very much runs in your blood. As a child, you used to watch cooking shows instead of cartoons. You observed your mother cooking.
Yeah, exactly. So it's coming when I was 8 years old. I saw my mother. She woke up very early to cook for us and stay all the day in the kitchen. And when I was a kid, I just looked for Michelin in the TV to see how the big chef, Monsieur Robluchon, Monsieur Paul Bocuse, how they cook. And I said, oh my God, the French food is amazing. It's not like us, it's very different. And we see painting like Picasso, with all these artists. And I said, one day I will go in Paris and learn how to cook. It was idea, one small dream, I was 10 years old. And just my dreams I come true now. In 20 years later, after my come in Paris, I have 1-star Michelin as a guide.
So Alain, in your case, it seems like it was a stroke of luck and, of course, all the talent that you had. Can you tell me the story of how you first started cooking in a restaurant here in Paris?
So I had very hard life when I was kids. I went from Liberia for the Civil War, and I went in Lebanon, was a Civil War also. I moved in Paris in 1999, and I just come to 24 years old with 30 euro in my pocket, doesn't speak French, and I start to work in construction and sleep there in the chantier. And my second job was the wash the dishes, like plongeur in the restaurant. And one day the chef, he cut his hand, he went in an emergency, and I just throw myself in the piano and I start to cook for the customer. And it was crazy. And the boss, he saw me cooking. He said, "You know how to cook?" He said, "Yes, this is my dream to be one chef one day." And my life just started from like that, just like accident, and chances come for me, and I use this chance, and I start cooking. And I start work from commis, head chef, commis, chef de partie, head chef, and.
Now let's talk about your actual food. You mix very traditional French cuisine with Lebanese flavors. Is that to try and bring in the French diners?
Yeah, exactly. Just I want to change a little bit. I want to tell a story for my customer about my food. So I fusion the French food with the Lebanese food, and I was lucky because my mother she learned me how to love people, how to make pleasure for them, how to cook for them. So when I start to make Lebanese flavor in my kitchen, so I start to cook with a lot of emotion, and this emotions, when the customer comes, they feel it. And one day, Inspector Michelin was between this customer because we don't know them, and it happened like that.
And of course, now you have several restaurants, but has this Michelin star really impacted your business?
Yeah, of course. It's like it's a gift for me. This the most important thing for every chef to get 1-star Michelin. 20 years to work. This was one dream. I never believe family Michelin interested about one guy like me, like starting construction, wash the dishes, in one day's come in chef in the Michelin-starred.
Do you have any advice for wannabe chefs out there?
Yeah, well, I tell them just always believe in our dream and never give up. Always work hard to get what we want.
And any other projects in the pipeline for you?
Actually, my project is just to keep what I have in my hand. Like, I have 3 restaurants, I have 2 kids, and my wife also. I want to give a little bit time for my family. Also, it's very important to be good in our life to keep working and growing up.
A success story there, Alain Geamm, Michelin-star chef. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Of course, if you happen to be in Paris, make sure you try Alain's restaurant, Alain Geamm, which is by the famous Champs-Élysées Avenue. Now, we finish this edition of Middle East Matters with images of astronauts preparing for life on Mars. Their simulations, however, are not on the Red Planet, but in the Arabian Peninsula. As part of the venture, 200 scientists from 25 nations are spending 4 weeks in isolation in Oman's desolate desert, where temperatures can soar to 51 Celsius. Thank you for watching.